See, Turek, your mind, it is like a gun. And you want to load it up with little itty bitty bullets of knowledge.
What's going on, family? It's your guy Boro, the Lucky Libra, and thank you for tuning in to another episode. Alright, as you can see by the title, we picking up the Debilitation series, understanding the weakness and the Achilles heel of every zodiac sign archetype, and we picking it up with the Taurus archetype. Alright, before we get into it, make sure y'all tap into my website to connect with the Lucky Libra for readings, consultations. Alright, I got some collabs and some things up in the works for you guys. Alright, so y'all stay tuned to that. However, y'all want to also make sure to check into my Patreon. Alright, where I'm getting into deeper analysis, celebrity synastry breakdowns, monthly classes, and more. Alright, we're breaking down how to read the natal chart. I want everybody on my Patreon to understand how to read their own chart and interpret the fundamentals of the chart. No problem, easy peasy. So check into my Patreon if you see that's something you want to build upon in your spiritual journey. However, let's get right into it. The debilitation of the Taurus zodiac sign. So when we talk about the debilitation and the weakness, well, the weakness is the debilitation of a zodiac sign. Okay, this is an energy that's going to be uncomfortable, vulnerable for the zodiac sign to deal with. This is an energy that's naturally a part of their archetype when we talk about debilitation. So the factors that make up an archetype would be the element, whether a sign is fire, air, earth, or water, the modality, cardinal, fixed, or mutable. Then we have the exaltation planet. All right, then we have the debilitations and the fall. All right, now when we look at the Taurus zodiac sign, we have Mars and Pluto. Mars and Pluto is away. All right, excuse me, is debilitated. I use the term away. My favorite astrologer, Dolo the Pilot Man, shout out to Soul Group. That's a term that he uses for fall planets. But when we talking about Taurus, I like to say Mars and Pluto, they're both debilitated here, because to understand the planets that's debilitating the archetype, you just have to look at the opposite, the planetary ruler of the opposite sign. So what's the opposite sign of Taurus? The Scorpio constellation. We know Scorpio is fixed water, ruled by Mars, co-ruled by Pluto. So by default, these energies are going to be debilitated in the opposite sign, on the other end of the axis. All right, because when we look at opposite signs, these signs are connected. So opposite signs, they have a connection. They're on an axis. They're on a frequency vibration that's keeping them connected. So this is why every zodiac sign can play out energies of their opposite sign. But this more so like a defense mechanism when we feel like our back against the wall. When we feel like our sun sign isn't being seen, felt, or heard, or being taken advantage, then we jump into that opposite energy, just like we do in everyday life. If you're in a situation where you're in a relationship and you feel like your actions and how you perceive things is being taken advantage of or underestimated, you may jump into an opposite energy to get your point across, to have your emotions felt, all right, to have your thoughts heard. So this is what we do naturally as our zodiac sign, but we naturally all have debilitations. When we look at the Taurus zodiac sign, the debilitation is Mars and Pluto. Now, first of all, when we look at the Taurus zodiac archetype, once again, it's fixed Earth ruled by Venus. So Earth is dealing with stability, responsibility, all right, and dealing with thinking and being practical. Earth ain't dealing with no feeling emotion. It's dealing more left brain at type of energies. We know when we talk about the left brain, we talk more so with logic. All right, we talk more so with reality and how we utilize practicality, how we look at things in a more linear perspective. The right brain will be tapping us more into our intuition. All right, how we deal with more so internal energies, or how we perceive and think about internal energies for the most part. All right, so Earth deals with foundation, stability, being grounded, practicality, making sense of things, cultivating a form of some shape or form that plays out as a container for something to grow, because we know Earth is dealing with growth, especially the Taurus zodiac sign, because we throw the element of Venus up in here. All right, so Venus dealing with our value system. People, places, and things that we value, we feel like we have to offer to the world, our self-esteem. All right. The house a sign comes out of is also a part of the archetype. So Taurus is born out the second house that deals with our value systems, what we feel like we have, our possessions, our forms of support system, our talents, okay? What we feel like we're good at. But Venus is going to add the influence of love, appreciation, support, your pleasures. And Taurus is fixed. So fixed signs, we know fixed signs dealing with consistency, is stubborn, is a longevity type of frequency vibration, is a dialed in type of frequency vibration. So when we have this energy here, this is why Tauruses are fixated in how they deal with practicality and reality. Tauruses are fixated, and they don't want to transform their long-term ways of dealing with things that make sense, forms of security, forms of stability, how they get the bag, how they're able to have a foundation in life, how they're able to be comfortable. Venus, pleasures, like and love, how we're able to be comfortable in our physical surroundings. So this is why getting a check and getting paid is high priority for a Taurus. A living situation for a Taurus, high priority. The security in a relationship or any form of career and a job, high priority for a Taurus. These are things that can't be up in the air and spontaneous. Earth needs to be grounded. So this is how the practicality is applied towards things in the physical realm, and also things dealing with what a Taurus appreciates, likes, loves, connects to, or ultimately values. Now, we also have the exaltation of the moon. The moon is a receiver. The moon rules how we deal with emotional stability and how we ultimately react and respond to the world we live in. So we know the moon has a huge emphasis on responding. The sun, all right, it's the masculine energy dealing with acting, expressing, but the moon is dealing with reacting. So you never really know who somebody truly is. You can see somebody act all day. You can see the way somebody greets people, the way somebody dresses and appears to be, all right, how people see things. But until you see somebody react in a situation, then you ain't really see anything. You don't really know that person. So with this being the archetype of Taurus, they take all that Venus energy and they put their value towards how they deal with physical stability, the physical reality, their support system, how they're able to support themselves. Tauruses also manifest situations being support systems to others, especially they like to give, but especially by the way they just think about things, by the way they deal with security in their life. They naturally beam off that energy of stability and foundation to others. So they manifest situations where others try to get in their circle to try to see how they can manifest some foundation on their own, or just may play out situations, whether it's a relationship, friend, relative, whatever it may be, that may rely too much on the Taurus for some form of support stability. So in a nutshell, this is what we're dealing with the Taurus archetype. But then when we get into the debilitation, all right, when we get into the debilitation of Taurus, the energy that Taurus don't really do well with, all right, that's that Mars Pluto energy that's debilitated here. Now when we look at Mars and Pluto, Pluto is basically Mars on a higher octave. All right, so we could say Mars is the nephew, Pluto is the uncle. All right, it's older. When we talk about Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, now we're talking about generational planets, outer planets. So they're at a farther distance from where planets like Venus, Mercury, and Mars and Jupiter are at. And when we look at Mars dealing with our passions, goals, desires, all right, overall our intentions, our willpower, how we're about to act on things. And when Mars can't meet its passions and the desires it has, we know Mars don't deal with patience. We know Mars don't deal with time. We know Mars dive head first into things. We know Mars don't compromise. We know Mars don't give a about relating, okay, and having others involved in what it wants to do. It's focused on what it wants to do and its own personal intentions. So that's the energy of Mars. Once again, Pluto's long term. So it's your long-term passions, goals, and desires. All right, and Pluto has a huge both Mars emphasis transformation, but Pluto has a huger emphasis on transformation. Okay? Because it's dealing with deeper desire. So when we talk about the desire frequency vibration, when you desire to do something, you're subconsciously starting a pursuit for something, and on that pursuit, on that journey to connecting to what it is that you may desire, a lot of us go through transformation trying to connect to something that we desire. So if you desire to be rich, okay, if that's one of your desires in this lifetime, your desire is going to place you on a journey that's going to transform you, aka certain jobs that you're trying to do, certain businesses that you're trying to manifest, certain people that you're networking with. You're going to go through a number of experiences to make you learn certain things, to gain more of awareness for your journey and what you're doing. But at the same time, your pursuit for your desire may transform you depending on how hard or how much you're trying to assert yourself to connect to your desires. And that alone can create situations where, you know, your input alters certain things around you. Aka your desires start affecting certain relationships, people that you're around, your surroundings. So this is why Mars and Pluto is going to bring energies dealing with transformation, because when it got its intention set on a certain desire, it's not something that is trying to compromise, and it may play out energies where it affects people, places, and things around them, aka Aries, Scorpios, and Capricorns. All right, because they all got a Mars influence. Now, so, and Pluto's also dealing with expiration dates, understanding when things are supposed to die. Pluto deals with death, rules the underworld. And when we talk about death, death is just transformation. It's another form of transformation. All right, spirit exists, period. Ain't no beginning or ending. Spirit just keeps experiencing. All right, so when you die, aka when you transition, that's just what it is, a transition. Your spirit getting out of the transiting out of a body that's already expired, and then going back into the spirit realm until it gets back into another body. So these are the energies of Mars and Pluto. So when it comes to a Taurus, we know Taurus like being fixated on what it is they value. So if a Taurus has a career goal and they end up getting a position in that industry, they are locked in to what they're working on to see if it works. They're going to be locked into what they're working on to see if it works, because if it works, they're not trying to change that. They're trying to stay locked in, fixed, because it brings security. It's something that a Taurus can look at as, when we talk about security, something you can depend on, rely on, lean on. So when Tauruses are dealing with certain situations in life, that's where the practicality kicks in. So this is the thing here. When we're dealing with our passions, there's going to be times when we deal with our goals, passions, ambitions, that adding too much practicality can stunt the journey. So when Tauruses have passions, the debilitation kicks in here, because they may feel like they need certain resources, and they need to set up the most practical scenario for that passion to grow. So if a Taurus wants to if a Taurus is passionate about, if a Taurus is because every fucking scenario I come up with is always fucking rapping. I don't know why it's the first career choice always comes in my head. If a Taurus is serious about fashion designing, okay, fashion design, they're gonna overdo the practical side to it. So the creative side would be the designs the Taurus are gonna make, the type of clothes the Taurus are gonna make, the colors, the fabric the Taurus is gonna make. But in a Taurus head, when they start dealing with their passion, they gotta see all the practical things to it. So they're gonna look at it like, okay, what is it that a fashion designer needs on a practical level to even be a professional fashion designer, and be able to run the business aspect to it. It's going to be very focused on the business practical aspect to things. When we're dealing with Earth puts things into squares and shapes and things you can use. So when it comes to a lot of the time when we have a passion for something, once again, Mars ain't got no patience. So when we got a passion for something, a lot of times we just want to dive right into it. We want to get active. When you're passionate about something, you ain't really trying to wait for it. So this is the thing with Tauruses. That energy to just dive into it, that gets halted at times, and we need that energy. We need to be able to just dive into something that we're passionate about and learn through our experiences, instead of trying to prep everything, or instead of trying to stay locked into a certain way something works to stay secure in that method, so we don't have to deal with any transformation. We have to always be able to embrace transformation with anything that we're doing in life, especially if it's a personal pursuit, personal goal, or whatnot. So this is when Mars kicks in as a real debilitation for Tauruses, all right? Because you guys start feeling like you need to make sure you have the perfect formula to stay fixated on, or you need to do what really works. And when we're dealing with your passions, you can never know what really works off the rip. You got to experiment, and sometimes when you experiment, that first trial may be something that you have to transform, and that's something Tauruses don't be wanting to do. Once they get situated on doing something, they don't really want to deal with transforming that, adding on, doing things a different ways. Like I set my mind on doing it like this, so this is how I'm gonna do it, because 10 out of 10 times this is the most secure way of doing something. So security is always going to clash with passion, because it ain't no security with your passion. You feel me, y'all? There ain't no security with your passions. We go to school to get indoctrinated and learn a whole bunch of bullshit so we can stay in a certain format in society. We could work certain jobs and careers that can make the world business run the way that the people that run the world business want it to run. The moment you dive into your passions, you on a whole nother journey now. Ain't no security with that journey. Y'all hear the instrumental playing? For y'all that don't know what song this is 50 Cent, Position of Power. Y'all know that. Y'all know the name of his first album. Shout out to my nigga 50. Get Rich or Die Trying. Ain't no security. It ain't no motherfucking security in that album title, in that phrase alone. Get rich or die trying. That ain't something Tauruses ain't really. It's like, okay, I feel you with the whole get rich thing. Yeah, I feel you with getting your bread right. All right, I feel you with stability. Oh yeah. I feel that. The Taurus gonna feel that. But the whole get rich, die trying. I mean, the whole die trying part, like, it's a little too extreme, don't you think? Don't think we could fixate some form of security based off of, you know, some practicality? Get a certain career, hold you down? So that Mars come with some leap of faith energy, y'all. Mars is dealing with some leap of faith energy. So once again, security gonna clash with your passions. When we look at the sign that Mars rules Aries. So Aries, the last thing on their mind is security. It's the last thing on their mind. Their archetype doesn't even support that, with the way that they act off raw intention, with the way they express themselves or make decisions based off of how they instinctively see or feel things. So, you know, that Mars energy in the Aries archetype want to learn through its stumbles, want to learn on the go. Not all that security, not all that doing things that keep us in one box, one space. Even though Aries ruled by fire, you can't tame fire, but for the most part, when we look at that Mars energy, that shows us Mars is spontaneous. Mars just goes. Mars is on the go. So this is what Tauruses have to learn embrace, and this is how you know you're dealing with vulnerability, Taurus. When it comes to the debilitation of your sign, when you know you really want to do something, when you feel it in your root chakra area where Mars is hovering at, where you feel it in your root chakra area, you have a desire to do something, you have a passion to sing, you have a passion to, you know, transform things for your family, be a support system for your family. You got a passion to do this, that, and the third. Yeah, you got to deal with that vulnerability that comes with understanding things may be transformed in your journey. That journey for doing things relating to your passions ain't gonna be secure. It's gonna come with some transformation and some vulnerability, with learning on the go. Taurus could be passionate about something, but once they have trouble trying to develop a practical way of doing it, that's what starts creating insecurity. So this is why we want to understand our debilitation. So we know how to embrace the vulnerability and learn. This is what we're here to do. Life is about learning, spiritually expanding, gaining more of awareness. We gain a lot of awareness dealing with our debilitation. And Taurus, we want to embrace that Mars energy. We want to embrace that feeling of setting an intention on something, and you guys are going to be practical. You're going to have all the resources. You're going to make sure you do things calculated. So if there's a Taurus that has a passion for music, they're going to make sure that they know what platforms they dropping their music, that they running their ads. They know how much money they putting into their ads so people could see their music. They gonna know the track list on the first mixtape, how much songs they like. When it gets to the practical things, they gonna understand. They're gonna be the Taurus is gonna be on top. The soup is gonna be high priority for the Taurus to understand, to know what studio they're gonna be recording, who gonna be engineering and mixing and mastering the music. Like when we talk about all that practical shit, that's the more practical part about quote unquote making music, which is a creative thing. Making the music is one thing. Fire, water signs, okay, let me just make the music. Fuck all that extra shit. Let me just make the music, put it out. I got an Instagram, whatever. I don't need all that extra shit. Make the music, put it on Instagram, man. Y'all niggas trying to do all that extra shit. Earth signs gonna get all logical. There's a difference between logic and practicality. Earth signs dealing with practicality. Air signs dealing with logic. So they're both gonna create strategies and think about things outside of the music to help it get connected or stabilized. All right. So this is what we want to understand, Taurus. Deal with more leap of faith energy when it comes to your passions. Embrace the potential transformation that comes with the pursuit of your passions and what you guys really want to do. You guys got to embrace transformation, period. That's one thing y'all don't deal with well, with Mars being debilitated and Pluto being debilitated here. So getting more into Pluto, we know Pluto's Mars, but more so dealing with long-term intentions, and it has a huge emphasis on transformation, ego deaths, expiration dates, death period, rules the underworld. Is dealing with our deep desires, our deep desires, deep passions, long-term passions. So we dealing with this energy on a higher octave here. So when it comes to Taurus, is having to embrace more so the marathon of what they're working on, and understanding they're gonna evolve through working on their passions, and not being able to see the finish line when they start. Because Taurus is, y'all want to be able to see the finish line before you start something, aka you want to know how things are gonna play out, what steps are gonna be needed to take, and everything what you're doing. So once you get in a situation where you passionate about something, or you catching the influence to set a long-term intention on something, but it's playing out as you not being able to see the finish line or something, this is where you want to tell yourself, like, fuck it, it's all good. Like, universe and experiences are gonna mold the result how it does, but I need to embrace the experiences of dealing with my passions or a deep desire I have for something. All right. So this is what we want to keep in mind for my Tauruses. This debilitation. When we talk about that Mars Pluto energy, we want to embrace the vulnerability that comes with transformation. We don't want to place a bunch of insecurities on how we can't do something based off of a lack of resources. Real creatives ain't trying to stunt what they could creatively do because they ain't got no resource. But some creativity comes from creativity. Not saying Taurus ain't creative. Yeah, one of the most creative signs in the zodiac as well. All right, coming out that second house archetype, but it's more so the intent of either pushing and expressing it, and dealing with any transformation that comes on the journey of dealing with maybe a creative endeavor that may be a passion of yours, or anything that you're passionate about, period. And embracing transformation overall, something my Tauruses want to keep in mind. All right, so y'all already know what it is. It's your guy Border, Lucky Libra, man. Y'all make sure to tap into my website to connect with the Lucky Libra. Yeah, I've been having all these motherfucking tongue twisters lately. I don't know what's up, y'all. I don't know. Hopefully this shit clear up Mercury in a couple of days. On the 20th of Mercury go back direct, because this retrograde been a fucking thorn in the neck. But anyways, check out my website to connect with the Lucky Libra. And make sure to check into my Patreon and see if that's something that resonates with you, family. Alright, until next time, peace.